Everybody, this is Warren the Chance, and I'm here today to show you my video assignment. The topic that I've chosen to work with is just variables and data types in JavaScript. And to give you a little background, I'm an intern at Honeywell Aerospace. I was there last summer, I'm going to be there this summer, and hopefully I'll be there full time after I graduate in the fall. And while I was up there, I worked a lot with web applications and doing various conversion projects for these web applications. And obviously, a lot of web applications are written with JavaScript. I never really did a lot of or any coding with the actual JavaScript code, but I was shown a lot of JavaScript code, and I was kind of confused and overwhelmed by that. So, in anticipation of going back there and working this summer and maybe in the future, I wanted to work with JavaScript on this project and maybe get a little better insight, so I'll be better prepared when I go back there to work. Looking through the internet, trying to find different sources, I found this W3 Schools website, which I actually used a little bit over the summer while I was at my internship to learn some things. It's a website specifically about web development. So here I started reading about JavaScript variables, and one of the interesting things I noticed is that every variable is declared with the symbol right here, the little var. There's no types, there's no int, there's no float, there's no string. Everything is typed as it's used, basically. So like here you can see variable price1 is 5. The compiler knows, okay, that's an integer. As you scroll down here, just like in many other languages, just like Java, equals is the assignment operator. And the interesting thing I thought here with the data types is they tell you to think of all the variables as just numbers or strings, and that pretty much encapsulates everything that you'll be using with the JavaScript stuff. The decimals here, that'll tell you it's a floating point or a double. The quotes here, that'll tell you that this is a string. And I also saw here that multiple assignment is supported in JavaScript, just like in other languages that we've done in 372, such as Ruby. So continuing on this W3 Schools website, I started reading a little bit more about data types. So as you can see here, the supported data types are string, number, boolean, array, and object. Pretty general and limited set of data types, especially the number data types, because that can include anything like ints, floats, doubles, whatever. So you can see here, pretty much the way you declare the variable is how it gets assigned. So 16 is obviously an int, but in JavaScript it's just a number. A string, like the last name Johnson, signified by the quotes. An array, once again with quotes. And then an object here, it's interesting, as we'll read further down here, it's pairings. So you have the name of the variable, and then its pair. So like first name would be John. So as you scroll down here, I was making connections to class that JavaScript has dynamic types. This means the same variable can be used as different types. So it's not quite the same thing as dynamic typing that we learned about, but it's similar. As you can see here, variable x undefined, you can now assign it as a number, and you can even switch it up to be a string. And like I said before, it's how you declare the variable that really gives it its true type. So scrolling down here, like I wanted to say earlier, JavaScript objects, they're written as name value pairs separated by commas. Like I said, first name would be paired with John. Kind of similar to the hashes in Ruby that we did in a sense. And then the type of operator shows you what type of variable what type of JavaScript variable it is. So now I'm going to move over to a REPL in JavaScript and maybe go through some sample things here and see how these variable types work. Moving into the REPL section, we can mess around with some of these data types and variables. We're going to be using the Rhino JavaScript engine. It's fully written in Java, as you can see here from the Wikipedia page, and it's managed by the Mozilla Foundation, same company that does Firefox. So now, if we go over to Lectura, connect. Lectura has Rhino already on it, so if you just type JS, this opens up the repo, and as you can see, we're using Rhino 1.7, released in 2012. So let's mess around with some stuff here. So let's say variable x equals 9. We could say variable y equals 10. And then if we want to say something like x plus y, x plus y, get 19. And then as you can see, if we use the type of operator on something like x, we'll get that that type is a number. Now let's declare another variable here called str, and let's make that something like a string. It's interesting to see what happens when you cross these data types, because JavaScript is kind of funky in that aspect, as we saw in that in-class video last class, where mixing these different types of variables produces some funky output. So let's say x plus str, and that literally concatenates a string onto the number 9. And as you can see, pretty much JavaScript just converts 9 into a string and bam, sticks them on the end of each other. So let's say type of, the same thing we just did, x plus str. So you can see here, yes, exactly, it's a string, and JavaScript literally converts that number 9 into a string in order to make that concatenation between an integer or number variable in JavaScript and a string work. Demonstrate is how arrays interact with other objects in JavaScript. So here we have something like the array cars, so these different types of cars. Now let's say we do cars plus the variable x, which was 9 from earlier. As you can see, it just adds 9 onto the end of the last string right here. So now, but what if we do cars times x? We get the not a number error. Now going back to the W3 schools here, not a number basically represents a not number value, and it's just JavaScript's way of telling you, like, hey, this specific output produces something that is not legal. So that pretty much concludes what I've discovered with JavaScript variables and types. Hope you enjoyed the presentation.